I am an Arcturian being, and I know that if we use the word, I'm a star being who have returned into a human hybrid form. And my purpose is to oversee this re-ascension of an entire planet. So, growing up, I had a really good fortune of having human parents who only were selected by my intergalactic delegation, but were very in tune to modern living. Like we would go on the field and at midnight with my brother and I, and then we'd drive in the middle of nowhere to watch the stars and to feel the Milky Way.
Welcome to the Awaken Magazine podcast, where we feature inspiring leaders who are helping our world awaken to love. I'm your host, David Trotter, and today I want to share with you a mind-blowing conversation with Viviane Chauvet. She's the founder of the Arcturian University, as well as a contributor to our brand new anthology book, Awakened Hearts. You can pick up that book and read her chapter, which is so incredibly informative, engaging, inspiring. You will love it. Pick it up at awakenedheartsbook.com. Now, in this conversation with Viviane, she shares with us how she has always known that she is an Arcturian hybrid and that she has a mission here on this earth in order to support planetary re-ascension, and specifically in order to help us as human beings become aware of our galactic ancestry. In this conversation, she also shares that if we can understand our galactic ancestry, which is encoded in our DNA, it will actually help us embrace our soul gifts, experience karmic healing, and have a greater sense of purpose. And also, we talk about in this conversation the Arcturian University and how Viviane is supporting us here on this planet in becoming aware of this galactic ancestry. Hey, if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to the Awaken Magazine podcast. You can do that on YouTube, Apple Podcast, Amazon Music, Spotify. Click subscribe, leave a review or a rating. That's an easy way for you to help us spread the word about these inspiring interviews that we are releasing each and every week. All right, let's dive into this conversation with Viviane Chauvet. Viviane, it is great to be with you. Thanks for taking time to hang with us today.
Oh, David, thank you so much for having me. We collectively, with my delegations, are so excited to take this journey with us. And I know with you, and I know it's going to be inspirational for everyone watching. So thank you.
Yeah, wonderful. Hey, in the midst of all the things that are happening in our world, and I think probably any generation could say there's a lot going on in the world, but boy, it sure does seem in our lifetime that there is so much happening, not only here in the United States, but globally. What do you sense is unfolding right now?
Absolutely. And this is a really good question because what we're looking at, it's thousands of years of preparations. So many souls who are on the planet, that means you and me and everyone watching, it's part of the blueprint of understanding that this world is reascending. So this is the premise of our presence of many old souls, starseeds, people who have been a calling to be here and to reawaken humanity consciousness. It's Think of it this way. We are looking at dismantling a very old era of living, an old paradigm that is no longer sustained because of the deep rising in heart awakening, conscious opening, new mental field, relationship, communication, and connectiveness. So we are looking at releasing ourselves from structures, whether it's government structures, medical, education, structurals, relationship, cultural, all the above. There's a rebirth happening, and sometimes, and oftentimes, when there's a rebirth happening, David, it can feel messy, chaotic, uncertain, a lack of alignment, a disalignment, or feeling unbalanced. That's because the birthing process is taking place, the birthing of the rising of humanity in its true original celestial essence, and the earth herself The consciousness of the planet is known as Gaia, and Gaia, as a living, sentient being in the form of a planet, is also returning to her original celestial design. So that's what we call the shift between the third density to returning into a higher fifth dimensional density or dimension. So there's
Mhm.
profound dimensional shift going on. There's shift in the grid system of the planet,
Mhm.
grids energy in our body, nervous systems, how the body reply to digestion, food, sleep patterns. We're shifting out of the artificial time construct they call the linear time construct. It's an
Mhm.
artificial time. We're moving back into being in alignment again with universal time, universal pulse, returning to be more conscious human being. And what does it mean, the sacred art of being a human being? It's we're refining ourselves, and that fine tuning, it's we can kick, we can scream, we can meditate, we can sing, we can smile, and we can cry together. It's all part of the deep changes of identity and what we identify ourselves as. So this
Mhm.
is just to feel overall the energy of what is happening. There's so much more than what meets the eye. This is why it is so important, David, to commune and tune in and feel. What does it represent to you? What is in alignment with you and what is no longer is. Allow yourself to have the wisdom, the strength, and the self-love to release what is holding back. What is it that's holding you back, whether it's from education, your lineage's ancestral upbringing. What is it that is still holding you back to prevent you from fully blossoming and fulfilling what your soul has come to do? We all here by soul design. And
Mhm.
so is Gaia. She's also here by soul design. And we are moving into that rising of energies. And so again, my galactic group always asks me, how do you want to go through those shifts? You want to kick,
Mm.
scream, you can make it like exhausting for yourself, or you can allow yourself to be more in a gentle flow and ask for guidance, ask for protection, ask for confirmation, ask for the support that is available to you. So this world is reshifting and transforming. This is part of a beautiful divine plan that has been unfolding for thousands of years.
Mhm.
And we are the architects, the engineer, so to speak, who have answered the call, and we have returned together to says, okay, I'm going to be a pioneer, a pillar of light, an anchor of frequencies, and I choose to experience in physicality what it feels like to return into a divine state. So this is
Mhm.
really profound what is happening. This is why there's so much seemingly going on. It's multi-layered. It's very rich. Have you felt that,
Oh,
David?
yeah, yeah, of course. I think one of the follow-up questions I have before we dive into your own personal story, which I wanna get to very quickly, is how can we simultaneously be informed from, like, a perspective of the news? Like, I wanna be informed of what's going on in the world, and yet at the same time, I don't want that information to caused me to move toward that kicking and screaming that you're talking about, the upsetting myself and my nervous system. Do you suggest that we be uninformed or somehow informed and emotionally regulated? How do we do that?
It's a fantastic question. So one of the things that we teach about is our ability to coexist in parallel with all these changes. So, you can be aware or have a mindfulness of what is unfolding, but you have to understand that whatever you watch, you have to ask, what is the energy or the intention of that source I'm watching? So whether it's news or media or newspaper or anything that is within the public media field, you have to understand is that are they broadcasting the same news or simply depicting one facet of a very complex story that gets you really hooked and entangled in that one facet, and
Yes.
you start to think, your mind starts to create stories and think that one facet is the whole reality. That's where you get trapped. You get trapped in that emotion, you get trapped in that fear, you get trapped in feeling isolated and to feel like, wow, my world or the world is collapsing. Well, there's a multitude of realities that are shifting. It's not
Mhm.
just one reality, it's a projecting of many, many coexisting realities, whether it's Fox News or Australian news or in Europe, whether it's government news, whether it's non I would say conventional news, whether it's whatever channel you're tuning in, we recommend to use higher discernment as the wisdom of your being feel to your heart. Your mind will tell you something. You say, okay, mind, I heard you. Now I'm going to listen to what my heart has to say about this. How does your body experience and decode that news or that simile reality? And,
Mhm.
and there's no need to really tune into these, I would say, traditional way of looking at the news. Again, it's facet of a perceived reality based on filters and what the media or the journalists or behind all of this they want you to believe. It's tune in to your everyday environment, feel, connect to people beyond the chaos of being in traffic or airport or rushing to school or to work and pick up your kids. Beyond all of this, tune in at a deeper level. Ask, reveal to me the truth about what is the evolution of this world, what is crumbling or fading away, and what is being revealed instead. Now remember, the universe always counterbalances itself. So for any form of descending energy, there's a counterpart of rising energy. And the proof is in the pudding, David. If you look in 2020, when we went into the COVID, I call it the global panic. That's what I call it.
Mhm.
That's just for to humor us. This big COVID energy that we went through. Well, there was a descending of energy. It did create a counterbalance, and that counterpart is the rising and expansion of awakening. People
Mhm.
asking different questions, tuning into different sources, tuning in more, listening rather than ingesting information. You listen to bring knowledge. That is true empowerment.
Mhm. Beautiful. I wanna hear about your own personal story of awakening to consciousness, mindfulness, spirituality. Did you grow up in a home that had some sort of faith or spirituality that was part of your upbringing, or tell us about it?
Absolutely, with a pleasure. So I've always known who I am. I am an Arcturian being, and I know that if we use the word, I'm a star being. Who have returned into a human hybrid form as a human hybrid form. And my purpose is to oversee this re-ascension of an entire planet. So growing up, I had a really good fortune of having human parents who only were selected by my intergalactic delegation, but were very in tune to modern living. Like we would go on the field and at midnight with my brother and I, and then we'd drive in middle of nowhere to watch the stars and to feel the Milky Way, to connect. There was always that openness of, whether my mom, my dad, I'd like, oh, there's this being came to talk to me, or, my mom can see people who passed on and they come talk to her, or an intergalactic being came in. So it's always been very naturally induced in the sense that this is part of the environment that we always have believed in because of their beautiful direct contact with advanced civilizations of intelligence. Even as teenagers, they were already in communications with my delegations. In my Octran self, I would come and visit them. And we were preparing my arrival as a hybrid child on the planet and how things would be. So it's always been embedded in who they are, and even to this day, I'm gonna call them, and they said, "Oh, you're tall, your tall being has come to talk with us." That means that's my Octran father, or they came last night, or we got a message. It's still a very natural phenomenon. I could write amazing books just about their own experience about my parents interacting with interstellar intelligence. So it's
I
always been
wanna
part of
I
us.
got I gotta interrupt here. So, your parents are both alive. Is that
Oh, yeah.
correct? Okay.
Yes, I'm very
And so
fortunate.
when you were born, you're telling me they already knew Like, okay, Vivian is special. She is a hybrid being. She is an Arc. Did they know that you were an Arcturian ambassador from day one? Or was that kind of revealed over time?
The role of my purpose and my Earth mission was more refined and revealed over time. However, even before I returned into this physical form, we would communicate with them, show them interstellar map of where we come from, our realms, who we are, it's part of our history. It's all about education. Everything has been done from a point of partnership, collaboration, exchange and respect and, support and guidance. And even to this day, the guidance is still there. So they knew from day one that I was a hybrid. Well, my body is a hybrid. They knew that I am this star being, if you want to call it this way,
Mhm.
embodied into a hybrid human form. And so they understood that that's the role that they accepted to play and as my earth parents, and then we grew up and then how we explore and it's been this way my entire life. It's still to this day, David.
So wonderful. So it was so great to read in your chapter in Awakened Hearts a bit of your kind of career path. And so, at what point did you kind of shift to, okay, I want to spend my time, the majority of my life, serving others with this role as an Arcturian ambassador? How did that unfold for you, kind of on your, as we would say here on Earth Young, like your career path?
Indeed, that's a great question. So I went to explore different avenue to understand the dynamic of human relationship, social ethics, communications, having some skill set to understand how things work here. So I spent 20 years plus in corporate offices, to management, to translation, to, working with VPs and in different level. And it will allow me to understand how human being see the hierarchical level, whether it's how they perceive themselves, how they communicate, what is the proper ethics of working with each other, social energy. So I explored that, but it's always been embedded at a soul level that I knew I was here as a direct emissary and I would eventually step onto the ambassadorial role. So, right in my 20s, my Arcturian council said, okay, we're going to start to preparing you for the next level of your earth mission. You're going to step in the role of more of the healer. So you're going to be working as a galactic healer. And so I'm going to start to explore different modalities, understanding how healing was perceived in this reality, what aspect of connection others have, gift, whether it's ancient knowledge, soul memories, through techniques and all of it. So I explored that. And eventually, as people will read in my chapter, my life changed and I changed location because a change of location triggered something more profound. And then the application of being a galactic healer became very tangible. So at certain point, I did dedicate all of my time, my free time, to be able to help people into different kind of healing, soul coaching, teaching meditation, metaphysical classes, and I would really step forward in that being of service. The being of service for me, David, is always in a relationship of where are we consciously on the planet. So I never give too much more than what the consciousness can handle. So think of it this way, I have readjusted the pace of my mission to match the needs of where consciously you are at. So there came a point where they said, okay, you have exceeded the galactic healer. Now you're moving into the cosmic teacher. And then from there, now new doors are opening. And then I have created different opportunity to do that. So everything we look at how the timeline of the planet moves.
Hmm.
So it really is. Think of it this way: we're navigating alongside with the conscious expanding, the awakening, the wave of consciousness, the wave of descending, moving up and down, dimensional movement, solar energy shift, whether it's the body template moving. So we're moving in parallel with this. So I always known, even as a child, that I was here of service of an entire planet and a multitude of life. I can feel life. I can feel, I can tune in and feel so many life forms and energy around me. Like
Mhm.
I'm in the middle, almost like I am the middle, the core of the planet, and I tune in and I can feel human life, animal kingdom. I can feel the coexistence of the ocean. I can feel the ecosystem. So we know we attune ourselves to what frequencies are coming through. And to these frequencies, I'm an amplifier. And then I bring these frequencies in terms of teachings, opportunities, wisdom, guidance, techniques, practical ways. So we interweave that with like, think of it as a matrix or a blueprint that we co-creating. I've
Mhm.
always been very present with what I am here for.
Mhm. You mentioned a few moments ago this shift from one location to another. You grew up in Canada, is that correct?
Yes,
And
I started my journey in Canada.
then you had this shift to the United States. Tell us about this. What was this calling that you felt to a specific location, and why was that so important to like taking that step into your new role?
Absolutely, it was part of course, of my ascending into the new role. So each part of the world, if you look at the world, the map of the world, each place or country or has a different grid connection and different purpose in terms of metamorphosis, in terms of evolution, in terms of frequencies. So when we I was reintroduced to the planet that you call a birth, we call it a reintroducing onto the planet. I was introduced to Canada. At the time, Canada was a more isolated energies on the grid. It was more peaceful. It was perfect to avoid as much interference as possible. And that's why I started the journey there. But I knew by the age of 16 years old, when we were crossing the borders from Montreal to, going to New York or Plattsburgh and Vermont, the moment I would cross the border and I would see the US flag and this is my home, I'm coming here. I knew that I had to be in the United States of America. I knew
Uh,
it. And so Canada was my introductory land. It what allows me to settle in, get my body more situated, get myself in court to the planet, adjust. And I knew that the US would be my launching platform because each part of the world has a very unique role in the ascension process. North America is designed to be a leader, to show leadership in the new spiritual paradigm. It's like what come from North America create ripple effect onto the world, and then there's other kingdom or other place on the planet that will support that role and amplify that with us. So I knew that I have to be in North America, in US, and not anywhere in US, but in the Southwest of the United States. And that's again, it's about the grid's alignment and the frequency that is in the Southwest, and that is in alignment with the ancient grids of other civilization, other paradigm, other timeline. And we can go on and on about that, but I don't want to take all the time on that. But I knew that it was very important to allow the natural evolution of my next level of my journey. And sure enough, it really has accelerated who I am a lot more than what I could have if I had stayed in Canada.
Amazing. What is the I know in reading your story, there was this, it almost felt like a visceral experience of being in Arizona. Like, what is it about the land? What do you feel? What do you sense? What did it do to you?
Yes, it's a really good point, and thank you for mentioning that, David. It There's something visceral indeed. For me, Arizona, it's my home base. I know I am right in the anchoring. First, the weather as a hybrid and a ET being more stable, more sunshine. There's a lot of sun frequency, a lot of solar energy coming in, which I need as an Arcturian. It helps to stabilize my hybrid body as well. And if you tune in into the grids, Arizona has one of the world part, how could I say that? Arizona has part of the most ancient grid network on the planet.
Hmm.
And if you tune into this grid or this ancient network, you can tune in to other timelines. So, for
Mm.
example, when I first came here, I was etherically taken out of body and I was transported into the golden age of Egypt. And the golden age of Egypt is what you will call the school of mystery, the early stages when Egypt really reached a golden age until the great destruction came and then it really completely distorted everything. But it brought me in that point where the intergalactic beings and the connection with the planet was a much stronger point than it has been so far. So there's a connection where I can tune in, and it allows me to tune into ancient archives. I can also tune into very specific frequency I can bring in and decode through my body and reproject into the next grid system that we're in right now. So there's a lot of that frequency that I'm utilizing,
Mhm.
and it has accelerated tremendously also the upgrade not only on my body level, but my nervous system, brain, cognitive opening of my gifts, opening even at a DNA level. It really has shifted that energy for me.
Mhm. One thing that I find interesting about you and your work is the level of, and I don't even know if this is the right word, but embodiment of your identity and mission as an Arcturian ambassador. I'll interview a lot of people or talk to people and they're like, "Oh, I'm a star seed. I have galactic origins. In other timelines I'm this." But to hear you talk about your mission, you're like, "No, no, no. Like I'm an Arcturian. Like I'm not a human. Like I'm an Arcturian with a hybrid physical body." When you share this with people, or you were kind of like coming to grips with this over the course of your life, how did people outside of the very, tight spiritual world respond to this? Because you're very embodied in your mission. You're very clear on who you are. Does this make sense?
Absolutely, absolutely, and I'm really thrilled that you're having this observation because a lot of people will maybe think about it or feel that but won't say anything, and it's very inspirational for everybody. I always say one thing, I am all that I am. Who else could I be? And so even as a child growing up, whether it's being in elementary school or when I first started my first job, I didn't know what I was doing because of the context of the nature of the work, but I always knew where I was. The thing is, the way I feel, the way I perceive this reality, the way I see this planet, the way I perceive humanity, and the coexistence of everything in this symbiotic ecosystem is through the perspective of an Arcturian being. And yes, I have developed and I have, how could I say that, embodied some human traits. I understand I can have a human personality. I can, have some more mundane conversation if you need me to be, but it changes nothing to my nature.
If you need me to have a mundane conversation, I will, okay?
And adapt. I have learned to adapt, but I am who I am. You know what made me really happy as a child is watching sci-fi movies. I need to be around spaceship and other star beings and watching all these ET, like the cantina scene in Star Wars. Oh, it was like vitamin C to the soul for me, going into those starship and the big mothership and the scout ship and looking at all of these different star systems, and that felt nourished. That felt that is who I am. At the same time, I understand the purpose of my being here. So again, I have adapted. I have understood how things work. I respect how things work. I can feel or sound a bit more human to make people more comfortable. But again, it is still through the eyes of the star being. It is profoundly who I am.
Mhm. If someone's listening and they're trying to probably keep up at this point, like, what are they talking about? And they're maybe just starting to understand their own multidimensional nature as a human being, like multi realities, multi dimensions. How could you somehow explain that from almost like the level of a kindergartner? Like, how would you explain that to them?
Look up onto the stars at night. And let's imagine for a moment that we're all together and it's a beautiful, gentle night, just a gentle breeze, and the sky is filled with stars. It's beautiful, right? Everybody can relate to that. The silver light, sometimes they shimmering colors and they blink. Sometimes we can see a satellite passing or a shooting star or something. When you look at the star, you take a moment and you look up to the stars, this infinite sky of millions of stars. Ask yourself, can I be really the only sentient being or the elder intelligence in this vast creation? So if
Mhm.
you just stop here for a moment, the answer is very clear. There's a soul calling that everybody can have, no matter what your mindset is or what the level of filters or personality trait or what your mind is telling you. When you look up to the stars, this infinity of energy that shine back to you, you know that in this moment it is impossible to even conceive that this planet that you call the Earth, sometimes known as Gaia, and human beings are the only floating little planet and only one civilization and an immense, boundless rivers of stars. So if you just take it back to that level, you know deep in your soul, many, many, many people, many of you watching right now, felt the calling of the stars. There's something there. I feel an energy. I get some memories. I got dreams of these weird worlds or people that I feel comfortable and familiar with. What if it's an aspect of soul memories coming back to you because it's part of your soul purpose to remember those aspects because they brought gifts, ability, certainty, confirmation, guidance, and love on your journey. So I did the other way around. I come from the stars and I've accepted to descend back onto a planet that has such a huge potential, immense. There's a glow, there's a natural energy here, there's a capacity here. And so many of us says, okay, you know what? Let's do it together. We descended from the stars. We embody those physical form. Many of you have born from parents and you have bringing, and it can be very challenging, very challenging. At the same time, at the soul level, it's also very rewarding. And so we come back. The difference is that I came back a bit differently. I came back with the authenticity and my identity intact. And I am a star being returning in this hybrid humanized form physically, so I can understand how to live onto a planet of certain density, frequencies, vibrational reality, and to be adapt to the electromagnetic field of the planet. So I had to have a vessel that allowed me to be here. And so it's a lot easier to see me in this form to talk with you than if I were in my original Arcturian form. Eventually, I will return to that. But for the time being, take a moment to feel in your heart the immensity of the universe is inviting you to see. Imagine yourself being part of this universe and the universe being a part of you. This is no longer, so far-fetched anymore. And it's besides, if you look at your Earth history, it's written all over the planet. Scripture, ancient texts, Egypt, temples, pyramids, construct, underground digging, architectures, energy, Renaissance painting, I mean, name it. Verbal tradition, oral tradition, oral, from Aboriginal tribes, the First Nations, whether it's the tribes from Uluru in Australia to the Navarro or the Sioux Nations or the Algonquin in Canada. I mean, it's all over the world. Those sacred oral traditions speak of the elders connecting with the people of the stars, coming to teach about agriculture, medicine, multidimensional abilities, communications, all of it. It's all written here. So if you no need to believe anything we say, just look, feel, do your research beyond the mainstream media. Go beyond that. Explore. Does that
Mhm.
make sense that way?
Sure, sure. Some people will call themselves a star seed. And I'm just curious, do you believe that everyone has galactic origins as a star seed, or are there only some people that would be able to say that?
It's a beautiful, complex question. So the word star seeds, just to understand what it means, it's a soul emanation of a being that comes from another star system, a galaxy, a constellation, or a part of other, the universe, and that fractal of themselves that contain the encoding of the frequency of who they represent, the knowledge, the vibration, everything, and they come and they reincarnate as human beings. If you are a star seed, when I talked about the stars, the calling of the stars, you know this is something that has been part of you your entire life, even as a child. So there are those who come from other advanced sentient intelligence and return as a form of a star seed. Now, the human race itself, we see you as galactic royalties, literally, because in your DNA and your genome and the markers in your DNA, you have multitude of DNA and markings from many intergalactic groups, whether it's the Syrians, whether it's the Pleiadians, whether it's many, many other groups. So, from that perspective, you can see that everybody has galactic origins. I'm going to take it a bit further, just a tad further. Now, as a divine being of light, you are also an eternal being. So, as an eternal being, this is your true, profound, number one, profound na- nature, who you are. So, as an eternal being, of course, your soul, or aspect of your soul, or fractals of your soul, has experiences a multitude of realities. So you may have been 50 times a star beings, a pure consciousness, formless. You could have been a celestial being, or like an angel, or a fairy, or an elemental on another planet. And multiple times you may have come to the earth to be a human being. But we're depicting a much bigger picture here to understand that when we talk about galactic origins, it'll apply to everyone in many ways.
Hmm.
Now, in my case, David, how it applies to me is that I chose to return. I had no need to return and reincarnate on this planet. I come from a I come from an intergalactic civilization who already ascended thousands and thousands and thousands of years ago. So we have no need to return in descending form. I chose this task as an ambassador because this is part of what we do. And given the fact that the earth has descended so much and got stuck into this artificial time construct, we chose to send one of us in these very unique hybrid form that I am as a prototype to come and help. Think of it this way: I'm a frequency, and as a frequency, I amplify a multitude of frequencies that come through my physical form, and I bring that constantly. Redirect these frequencies onto the entire planet every single day.
Hmm. Do you think it's important that people know their particular galactic lineage or their past lives on here on this earth? Or is it more important to lean into the fact that we, at our very essence, are an eternal divine being? Like, is it a either or, a both and? Like, is it important to know these things?
It's all the above. First, recognize yourself that I am. an eternal being of light. All of us, regardless of what planet you feel you come from, what level of dimension, what octave of dimensions. In that way, it's bring you in attunement to your self-mastery. So the word self is the portal or the gateway that allows you to discover or rediscover the master that you are. So, eternal being of light, I'm a divine essence of light. You can invoke it to your I am presence. Absolutely essential. So from there, you can see how how did I bring specific soul ancestry connections, galactic origin that served me in this lifetime. So now we're going to go more specialized. So think of it this way. Think of it as a galactic tree of life with deep roots, multitude of branches, and that is the constitution, the base for what we call your soul ancestry. And that soul ancestry is how it was designed by you, by your soul, and more aspect of you to allow you to fulfill what aspect of your journey you've come to do. Your soul purpose, your lessons, what you need to learn, earn, complete, maybe some karmic cycles, frequencies, healers, teachers, name it. So we say that all of it is important to recognize because if you understand that you are an eternal being of light, if every human being recognize themselves like this, your world is reascending. Number one. Number two is understand your own soul ancestry, this tree of soul ancestry. What branches of influence did you bring? What core roots did you bring as your soul design, your soul blueprint? This way, you can really understand more who you are now in
Mm,
this lifetime. And every time you have an incarnation or a different lifetime, well, that soul design will change and
mhm,
will adapt according to what you've come to experience. It's all about experiences.
mhm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah, that's super helpful. One of the things that you write about in the chapter in Awakened Hearts is you talked about that some reptilian and draconian groups have attempted to block your work
Oh,
here
yes.
on Earth, and so I would love for you to help us understand a little bit more about reptilians and draconians, and you know, I've even seen people at Conscious Life Expo who have a booth there that say they are a draconian. Like, I mean, they're branding themselves as draconian. They're coming as a draconian in the same way that they're saying, as you're saying, you're coming as an Arcturian. So, help me understand that. Are you
Yes.
are you walking by them like giving them like evil eye? Like, are you I I
No.
mean, I definitely have talked with other channels that have some pretty clear thoughts on the roles of these individuals on our planet. Like, help me understand it from your perspective.
Yes. So think of it this way. There are many, so many interstellar civilizations. We hear about Assyrians, the feline, the canine. You have the Lyran. You have some of the humanoid bird nation. You have the Arcturians. You have different type of Andromedans. I mean, very diversified. Look at the diversity of life on this planet, right?
Mhm.
Many different, still human being, but different aspect of human being, different aspect of species of insect, animals, plants, ocean life, and so forth. So if you look at accept the diversity of life on this planet, imagine the diversity of life reflecting in the multiverse. So
Mhm.
that's number one. So some of these groups will have chosen different directions of evolution. Some are more serving serving others, prime creator, positive energy, serving others, evolutions, diplomats, healers, and help to let life blossom and flourish and help others to reach their own sovereignty and the mastery. Others have explored different realm of what's called the negative ego. The negative ego, it's about service to self. What can you do for me? How can you serve me? All that energy. So if you look at the human race, you would say some humans are at different stages of evolution than others, right? This is
Mhm.
very acceptable. Some others are very self dedicated to others, service, healers, They have a soul connection, a soul calling to be of
Mhm.
service. Others, they're here to explore the self, right? So the same thing with these civilizations. The Draconian nation is a very ancient intergalactic civilizations. You go through the lore octave of I am the dominion over you. I'm using technology to dominate and service to the self to all the way to the High Council of the Draco, where they are working with many other galactic alliances. And we know them very well, and they know us very well. The same thing with the reptilians. There's a renegade faction that have chosen to create Avok and think that the Earth and other planets are their domain, where you have the High Council of the Elders of the Reptilians, which I have interacted with as an ambassador, and they have a very different perspective. I have seen a draconian child coming to me and to feel the sadness of what an aspect of their people are doing to other life. But for those who have been on the planet for a very long time, they have claimed this as their dominion. Other life forms that seems inferior to them will be there to serve us. Well, we have a different perspective on the matter. So what happened is that beings of the light or of other intergalactic enlightened nations like myself, when we come back to the planet, these renegade faction of draconian and reptilians, they know who we are. They're not fooled by this disguise or by this body. They know our capacity, they know what we can do, and we know also our energy, our light, and the level of transformation we can provide to this planet. So it is very disruptive to their dominion, to
Mhm.
their grip, to I manage and control resources. I'm going to tone down the human template. I'm going to calcify your pineal gland to preventing you from understanding your true power, and so forth and so forth. We're here to do a reversal of that. We
Mhm.
help you to release yourself from this and say, wait a minute, you carry a divine spark of light. We can see it in your living aura. We can see your heart. You hear. You have the capacity for empathic energies, compassion, love. And human beings have no understanding of the power that you have, but the draconians renegade and the reptilian renegades, they do. They know
Mhm.
you better than you do yourself. So
Mhm.
our presence on the planet is a counter response to what they have co-created for thousands of years. And we're here to says, allow us to reteach you the way of the prime creator.
Mhm.
Come back to serving under universal law of one. Some would say yes, and others says we don't want to. So what they want is they want to destroy or take you off planet or to prevent you from achieving a certain level so you don't have the influence that you need to have. So I can go on and on, but I think you grasp the energy of it. And they have been communicating with me, following my work, following where I do, following my progress beyond this reality. They can follow me in different timeline. They know who I am very well. So they have been,
Mhm.
let's just say, interfering in many ways. And some of you are starseed, you know exactly what I speak of. So this is
Mhm.
why I mention an aspect of it in my chapter.
Yes, thank you. I want to talk to you about how you specifically support people through your programs. And you've developed the Arcturian University for Universal Consciousness. Maybe tell us what the Arcturian University is and how people will benefit by joining.
Absolutely. So our core philosophy is really about choosing the re-ascension. So it's a return into a higher divine state. It's a return to embodying again the full sovereignty of who you are, and it's way beyond what has been remembered. And our core frequency signature is about to stay in your light. So the founding of the Arcturian University of Universal Consciousness, think of it as a sanctuary of for advancement. We are providing amazing master level of teachings that also convey the connections of the new blueprint of relationship within yourself, blueprint of relationship with others, and being able to understand the mastery as architects of light. What is it that you can really co-create? How you can change the profound resonance of your life. So this, I'm so sorry. I have my little kitty here, my baby cat,
Oh,
who
nice.
decided to join us. He's 6 months old.
Oh,
So
that's
it,
so fun.
yes, oh, he's very fun, but it's just that he's uh, moving on my keyboard. I apologize.
That's okay.
We we provide a pathway of practicing what self-mastery is about, and the level of transformation is phenomenal. That sanctuary is uniquely engaging people who are really dedicated to their spiritual journey. And the word spiritual for us, it's really about returning into that multidimensional education with practice, tools, community settings, gatherings, in ways that we can guide you on this profound journey to finally returning in the oneness of your being. So it's a reconnection to your cosmic authority and authenticity. So we are the only Arcturian University on the planet, and it's been sanctioned and approved directly by the Arcturian Light Council and the elders. And it was a time where the elders expressed the need that this university must be become a tangible reality. So, as the ambassador, I became the founder of this, and we have members from all over the world. It is an incredible portal to a multitude of higher consciousness and journey, and we bring also the Octran eating technology every month as opportunity to be able to explore. It's based on multi-lifetime perspective and very ancient galactic wisdom that we bring directly through the horse's mouth, so to speak, directly from us. So, just in a nutshell, this it's a very beautiful and profound a place to really, if you're serious and engaged in receiving the new harmonics of teaching that will help you to transform your life and helping you to fulfill who you really are. And that's what we provide.
And that's at infinitehealingfromthestars.com, which is your website, which of course we'll link in the show notes. There are two other things that I want to make sure we mention. One, the Wisdom of the Silver Sisters book series. Tell me about that. And then I want to hear about the Infinite Star Connections podcast. These are two resources that would be helpful for people.
So these, the silver wisdom, uh, uh, the wisdom of the Silver Sisters was my very first collaborative book project that I was on, and it was beautiful to see. First, it was about the divine feminine energy, um, different beautiful author women coming together to share the wisdom and to bring forward a book filled of chapters of knowledge, life experiences, whether it's from grandmothers, whether it's from the mothers, whether it's the divine feminine embodiment, and how the book came about. It was an endeavor of love, and I am so thrilled to be a part of it. The series number two, The Golden Wisdom of Legend, and I forgot the title, but Golden Wisdom of Legend and other things. We brought in the divine masculine energy. So it was the divine feminine with the divine masculine synergy coexisting within one book. And so book volume one and two are very complementary to each other. And of course, I did collaborate to another one as well. But that one in particular was my original, my initiation into the written world, and it was incredible. So leading up to the podcast, we are in our sixth season already, the Infinite Star Connection podcast with my co-host Jeff. We are a beautiful complementary of energy. We give the star nations a voice. We give people who have profound experiences a voice. It's a journey beyond the cosmic energy, beyond the cosmos. It's allowing ourselves to understand who we are and how we can interconnect with each other. And it's part of the Arcturian University free content. So people can also sign up for the free content along with the meditation series as well.
Wonderful. All right. So, encourage you to check out the Infinite Star Connections podcast. We'll link to that in the show notes as well. InfiniteHealingFromTheStars.com. And your Instagram is Vivian_Chauvet. And they can find you that on Instagram as well. So that'd be wonderful. We'll link to all those. Viviane, it is great to be with you. Thank you for your authenticity, your wisdom. Thank you for your mission. And just, it's great to be with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, David. It's been absolutely incredible, and I know that there's so much more that we'll be exploring together. But today, what a beautiful, profound soul journey. And this is what about it's about soul evolution and really stay in your light, everyone. There's no fear, just the light energy. And I cannot wait for the release of the Awaken Hearts book.
It is going to be great. Yeah. Thank you so much for participating in that. 30 plus amazing authors, leaders, healers, coaches sharing their stories of awakening. I hear so many stories, Viviane, through conversations and just interviews. And, the goal is to get that book in the hands of people who are kind of wrestling with what is this life all about. So thank you for sharing your story in the book.
Thank you for being receptive to my story.
Thanks for listening to the Awaken Magazine podcast. If you enjoyed this episode and our other conversations, would you mind taking a moment to leave a 5-star review and maybe even a comment on Spotify or Apple Podcasts? That's one of the ways that you can give back to the show and help us reach more people. And of course, feel free to share the episode with a friend. And if you're not already on our email list, we send out an inspiring email every Monday morning full of articles and interviews. Just head on over to awakenedmagazine.com and click subscribe and join for free. Our hope is that all the resources we share will help our world continue awakening to love.